Okay, Mr. Davis is ready now. He's working alone tonight. We'll call the May meeting or April meeting of the Orange Board of Selectmen to order at 7:29, actually, it looks like, with that clock in the back there. Well, there's a large crowd here tonight, and we have a large group of scouts observing their town meeting tonight, which is really a good thing. And there are fire exits, which is the first thing we must announce. Now, probably most of you came down the door to the side, which leads out to the parking lot behind the town hall. If for some reason you can't make it out that door, you go straight down the back hallway, and there's a doorway that leads out to by the Orange Center Road Firehouse. And the third emergency exit is up the front stairs, which are behind the wall that the clock is hanging on, and out the front door of the town hall towards Orange Center Road. So now that we got that all set, we always start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I think the Scouts should come up and lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all come up in front here and you lead us in the pledge. Come on, there we go. There, he's the leader of the pack, that guy there. All right. All right, do you face the flag or face us? How's it go? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen. They did that well. They all graduated all the way up. They are well trained. Good bunch of guys there. Okay, and we'll have introduction of our board this time. We'll start with Selectman Cosacrio on my left.
Roy Cosacrio.
Anthony.
Anthony Nastri.
Okay, use the mic.
Anthony Nastri.
Thank you.
Good evening, Joe Blake.
Vincent Moreno, Town Attorney.
And Petty Secretary.
Ralph Oakquist.
Mitch Goldblatt.
Thank you. And now at this time we have public participation. This is for any item that is not on the agenda. If somebody in the audience would like to come up and speak on a topic that is not one of our agenda items. Anybody? No? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
I really want to address the town attorney, if I can, for a second, on their public participation. We discussed at the last meeting, or meeting before, about the trash and the noise ordinance situation. And I brought with me an article, I think was front page from New Haven Register, concerning the Board of Aldermen in New Haven having an ordinance about trash hauling. And so, I just want to pass this along to me. Just like you to, if you could, to look into it further for us with maybe the town attorney for the city of New Haven as to how they're able to, control trash haulers by an ordinance when it seems that DEP is telling us that we can't.
Yeah.
So I'd appreciate if we can continue follow up on that.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you.
I had given you that article when it came out. You already had seen that. You knew about it. Thanks. Okay, we have a few items for tonight. So now, is anybody else at the board here have anything to say? No? Okay. The date of the Amity school referendum has been set, and that date will be Wednesday, May 2nd, 2007, at our normal polling place. I believe for this we just use one. Do we use one, Mr. Moderator? High Plains. And that'll be from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. at High Plains on May 2nd for the Amity school referendum. The question shall read, shall the Amity Regional Schools budget for the fiscal year 2007-2008 in the gross amount of $40,773,491 and the net amount of $39,059,001 be approved as presented by the Board of Education of Regional School District Number 5 is the question, which will be May 2nd on the Amity referendum. Any of you who come to the town hall or to community services or the library or police station, a young lady came to us last month by the name of Avery Silverstein, and she set up a project of collecting spent batteries, your flashlight batteries and small, the AA's and D's and C's. And there's a container here in the town clerk's office. There's one at community services, library, I believe, and police department, where you can take spent batteries for your iPods and flashlights and whatever else that may have batteries like that, instead of throwing them in the garbage, which then causes contamination, which, you know, is not a good thing for the ground or the environment. There's an Amity Hall of Fame dinner tomorrow night. It's going to honor 12 former Amity graduates, and that is quite exciting. That started a couple years ago, and any of you who are interested in that, feel free to contact our office. I know it's kind of late notice, but it's another good thing that's going on for Amity that has people over many years. Let's see. Meg Lupo started. She left the OVNA as the business manager at the OVNA, and she is the administrative assistant to the chief and deputy chief, assistant chief of the Orange Police Department. Carol Wade has announced her retirement. We are in the search for a new director of the Orange Visiting Nurse department over there. There are quite a bit of credentials required by the state of Connecticut, not just by the town of Orange. But if anybody is interested in that, who is a professional nurse and thinks they may have all the documentation, it's a job that has opened up. Mrs. Wade has decided to retire after serving us for several years. She's done a terrific job there. There's a blood drive at High Plains Community Center on May 12th, and I believe it's going to be most all day. Did you get a time on that?
I did not get a time.
It's most all day, and it is in honor of Katie Winkle. I don't know those of you who know the Winkle family. Katie had quite a bout with illness herself, and they would like to, this is a way of helping to give back to the community, and there is a blood drive at High Plains Community Center on the 12th in her honor. It's not that she is in need of, they are doing this to benefit the, this blood drive to benefit the blood bank for all of Connecticut, and I applaud her for that and the whole family. And there's a heart walk. We're involved in a fundraiser heart walk, which is May 21st out at Lighthouse Point Park, and the Mayor's Cup Challenge between Milford, West Haven, and Orange is in memory of Officer Rob Fumiati, also quite an honor. And we have donation packets and the information on that here in the town hall, and we have set up many committee chairmen for that. Ann is overseeing that project, and it's going along very well. Also, we had a couple deaths that I know of, and please, if any of you know of somebody that I miss that may have served on a board or commission or served the town well over the years that I don't know, please let me know. But Bob Hindell from Ridge Road passed away this last week. He served the town well, and his wife is still on the library commission. Wonderful guy. And Natalie DiNicola, who's John DiNicola, our IT person. His mom passed away, and her wake and funeral is tomorrow night and Friday, I believe. Thank you. If anybody needs to know the arrangements on that, can call our office. Okay, I think that is all I have in public participation, so we can...
Jim?
Yes, Mitchell.
Two quick things.
Yes. What did I miss?
One other person that passed away recently that served the town was Alex Sandemersky. His wife had served on the Board of Selectmen. I think Joe would remember, I think back in the early 70s. I think Alex was our first energy czar.
Yeah.
When we had the original but energy crisis back in the 70s. Alex was very instrumental in making sure that the buildings were up to code at that time. The other thing is, you mentioned the blood drive on May 12th. And I'd spoken to someone about that recently, and it was just, my only concern is that is a Saturday at High Plains. Is it proper for this board to waive the custodial fees for the American Red Cross, or is that something what is our procedure? I'm sure we have to have custodial fees for that day, so I don't know
you
what
know
our...
what, Mitch? Nobody asked me. I
Okay.
know that I found out about it because they booked it through Public Works.
Right.
I don't know, Ed. They didn't ask us. We'll meet. We will meet again before that. We meet before that, but we could, if you feel it's appropriate.
I mean, I think anytime...
I don't know enough about that. I mean, I know when it's happening, but
Yeah.
they didn't come to us looking for any
Well, let me ask Ed then, if you, through you, I mean, do we have to have a custodian if we open up the
If
planes
the
on a
building's
Saturday?
open, you have to. I will gladly entertain a motion to waive those fees, and we will
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
add it.
The blood drives, which I participate in often, are usually during the week, but I think the idea is by having this on a weekend, we can probably get even more participation, and
Yeah.
obviously,
That's
with
right.
Katie Winkle being the focus, I think we'll get tremendous participation, which I think is terrific. I'd like to make a motion to waive any custodial fees associated with that for Saturday, May 12th. Vinny wants to say something.
Yeah, I would just say, before you make that motion, you should make a motion to amend the agenda to include
I'm
it.
sorry. I'll
Yeah.
make a motion to amend the agenda to discuss the custodial fees for the blood drive on May 12th.
All in favor?
Aye.
I won't even ask any further. Okay. Any discussion? No? Okay.
So now I'll put the motion
Now
I
your next
originally said
motion. There you go.
back on the table. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to waive the custodial fees from the May 12th blood drive. Do we have a second? Ralph, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. We'll go no further. All righty. All right, next thing is public hearings. We have renewal of dance and pool hall permits for Blue Cube Billiards and Lounge, Corner Pub, Grassy Hill Country Club, Orange Ale House, the Pawcaset Club, and Racebrook Country Club. We shall complete the regular selectmen's meeting and move into public hearing at 7:42. I'll say on that. Yes, Mr. Blaine.
I'm,
We're gonna.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Hearing.
Oh, go, read
Did
it.
you have
I will,
a question be answered with the reading of the hearing? Possibly. Read the hearing.
Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given to the applicant and persons interested in the affairs of the town of Orange that a public hearing will be held at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, April 11th, 2007, in the lower level meeting room of the Orange Town Hall, 617 Orange Center Road, Orange, Connecticut, 064, application of Corey Gallant, DBA Billiards and Lounge, 150 Boston Post Road, Orange, Connecticut, 06477. Tony Riendo, Corner Pocket Cafe, 501 Boston Post Road, Orange, Connecticut, 06477. William Nicholas Janikes, Grassy Hill Country Club, 401 Clark Lane, Orange, Connecticut, 6477. Joseph C. Hess, the Arnell House Cafe, 517 to 519 Boston Post Road, Orange, Connecticut, 06477. Daniel Hammond, Pawcaset Club, 838 Dentry Drive, Orange, Connecticut, 06477. Thomas Flanagan, Racebrook Country Club, 246 Derby Avenue, Orange, Connecticut, 06477. Under the Town of Orange ordinance concerning public dance halls, pool rooms, exhibition or amusement halls, and restaurants in which dancing is permitted. The applicant has indicated an intention to conduct a pool room and/or dance hall establishment. Copies of the town ordinance and of the applicant's applications are available for review in the First Selectman's office in Town Hall. Dated at Orange, Connecticut, the 5th day of April, 2007. Town of Orange, Board of Selectmen, James Zioli, First Selectman.
Okay, Selectman Blake, I know you still have a question. I can
yeah,
tell.
I do. Madam, you know me that well. Madam Secretary, I apologize, my mind was running a little ahead of me. I'd like to ask one question on the dance hall permit for the Orange Ale House. In the notice of public hearing, it's Joseph C. Hess, Orange Ale House Cafe, 517 to 519 Boston Post Road. And on the permit, it's Frank Spargo, permittee, Orange Ale House, 517 519. Who is requesting the permit as permittee, Frank Spargo or John Joseph Hess?
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Ale House is owned by Hess, but it is being sold, and so there wasn't any interruption in the permit so that they can continue their business. We're having another public hearing right after this one for the new applicant and permittee for the Orange Ale House. So at this time, it's the Joseph Hess, but it will be in a few days, Frank Spargo and Jim Hassemeyer.
We have to have another hearing if we approve Hess like we have all
Right.
these years. He's
It's
been a
on the
very good
agenda.
permittee.
It's the next one.
We'll have to do it over.
It's on
and
the agenda.
Okay.
You're going to do two.
Okay.
You have another one behind it? This one?
Probably so. I have a Frank Spargo, yes. Okay. I just didn't know the reading of the hearing.
Yeah,
does
we have
not
to do-
coincide with the permit
We have
date.
to have two
Two of them.
hearings. You're going to
Okay.
close one and open another one.
Two explains it.
Okay. Okay, on the first round, which includes Blue Cube, Corner Pocket, Grassy Hill Country Club, Orange Ale House, Pawcaset Club, Racebrook Country Club. Is there any discussion on this matter? Hearing none, to have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
What? Oh, that's right, yeah. We'll to have discussion on, yeah. None? All right. Have a motion to close the public hearing. Okay, very good. Ralph, Mitch. Okay, now do we have a motion to approve these that I just named?
I'll make a motion that we approve the ones read by.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now we will move into our next public hearing, Selectman Blake, and this one will be for another hearing. And you read the notice on that one.
This to give notice that the Orange Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 11, 2007, at 7:30 p.m. in the lower level of Town Hall, 617 Orange Head Road, Orange, Connecticut, 06477, for the purpose of issuing a dance hall, pool hall permit to Frank Spargo, new permittee of Orange Ale House, 517 to 518, Boston Post Road, Orange, Connecticut, 06477. The purpose of this public hearing is to determine whether the applicant is a proper person, the purpose is a proper purpose, and the location suitable for such purpose. Dated at Orange, Connecticut, this 5th day of April, 2007, Town of Orange, Board of Selectmen, by James M. Zioli, First Selectman.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the Orange House / Frank Spargo, James Hassemeyer?
Yeah, question, I don't know if you can answer it, or whether I need the applicant to answer it. Just want to know for clarification what the date is where the new permittee is going to take over and the old will no longer be there, I think, for our purposes, also for the police, anybody else's purposes, to know what the effective date of this for the Orange Ale House will be.
Is there an effective date yet, gentlemen? I know you're both out there.
Within the next 3 weeks. We don't have a tentative firm date within the next 3 weeks.
Okay, so say by May 15th, 1 month? Okay. Is there any other discussion on this? Discussion? No? Hearing none? Can we have a motion to close this public hearing? Okay. We have approve. Okay, Selectman Blake, Selectman Goldblatt. Discussion? No? In favor? Opposed, abstain, unanimous. Thank you. That one's done. Okay. Anybody in the room for any of those events? You're all approved for another year. Minutes of the March 14th meeting. Did anybody have anything for the minutes of March 14th from our last Selectmen's meeting? If not, yes, Selectman Astry.
Page 5. Page 5.
Yep.
Paragraph 9.
Yep.
The motion made by Selectman Goldblatt increase the cap for home improvements to 37,125. Reads now, which is 48.5% per medium income increase. I suggest we change it to improvements to 37,125, comma, 48.5% matching the median income increase.
So cross out which is,
Yeah,
okay, and leave 48.5%
right,
is, drop out per,
right.
okay,
And medium, and adding matching the median income increase.
matching median income increase. Okay. Everybody have it?
That's what I said.
I thought so. Okay.
We just had to interpret it.
Are there any other questions? Selectman Oberquist.
Just a clarification.
Page?
Page 2. Under public participation, in the second bullet, the last sentence, I think that should be the town of Orange instead of the town or Orange. minor.
F, the F didn't print. Is there anything else? Hearing,
There was one quick one.
what was that?
On the same page,
Page?
too. Yeah, we appreciate you congratulating Rabbi Wainhouse, but it's W-A-I-N.
Where are you?
In the announcements on page 2. One to third bullet.
Oh, you're right, okay, yeah. W-E-I-N, it's W-A-I-N.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, can we have a motion to accept the meetings of March 14th minutes?
Second.
Okay, with the corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous, thank you. Yes, you weren't here, Selectman. Creo was not able to attend that evening. Okay, next item under new business, we have to add, you all have a letter from Charles Gagel from the Deputy Fire Chief. They're having a burn of a car down at the transfer station. Mr. Lieberman, did they, Chuck's here somewhere, I think. Did they talk to you about this, make arrangements for you, this with you?
Not yet.
Okay, but he's gonna. He's gonna before we talk about it. Okay, he's sitting in the back right ahead of Pat O'Sullivan there.
This is something they've done before.
Okay.
But I have the conditions that I like.
Well, you talk about that, or you can bring them up to us. I'd like a motion to add that under new business, make it item J1, since J is consider an act on the firefighter tax abatements.
So moved.
I would like to make it J1. Motion by Selectman Goldblatt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous. Okay, that's added. First item under new business, item A, consider an act on the adoption of the resolution for historic preservation grant for the fiscal years 07-08 for the town clerk's office. We have done this for many years now, and here comes our town clerk, Patrick O'Sullivan. I'm not sure what he's bringing up his words.
I thought a picture is worth 1,000 words,
Go
so
up one more. See that window ledge right there? Set it right up there. If it'll make it. There we go. Okay.
thank you. Let's see. The reason I'm here is that it's an annual event where I ask for your approval for adopting and approving a resolution allowing the town clerk to apply for a grant for historic preservation. And it's as simple as that. Just to refresh your memories, over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, we've applied for historic preservation grants, and we've actually received a total of over $30,000 in grants. And the great thing is that we've been able to take care of all of the land records. We've microfilmed and restored over 100 volumes of the actual land records. Mission complete. Now I'm starting a second phase, and that is to restore the maps. We currently have about 650 maps that are located on these cardboard backings. And I can apply for a grant for up to $7,000 to have these maps removed, peeled off the particle boards or off the cardboard backing, and they'll actually be restored. And so many times our citizens come into the town hall and want to get a copy of their plot plan or a little description of their property, and as you can see, they're worn. And our maps go back to 1921. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one from the 1800s, 1872. But here's where it's been torn. They're located in a cabinet that has some metal bars on it, and over time they've gotten ripped. There's a company up in Vermont that does the actual restoration of these documents, and in this case the maps. And so that's the picture of 1,000 words. So I'm just asking you to approve this resolution, allowing me to apply for a historic preservation grant.
Any questions? Wait. Yep.
How do they restore it, Pat? Do they,
It's a complicated process. They somehow steam them off of the backing.
they can't do it by photographic
No,
means or
no.
camera?
They keep we actually keep the original, and they bring back the original. It's going to probably take 3 years of historic preservation grant money in order to have this grant and project complete. It's going to cost about $23,000 for actually 900 maps, but there's 600 on these boards.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second to it? Selectman Cozzacrio, is there any discussion on this? Yes, Ralph.
Jim, I'd just like to thank Patrick for this effort, because originally this had come into our capital, one of the requests for our capital plan this year for $25,000. And as we were discussing all of the projects, Pat came back and said, I think I might be able to get a grant from the state, so take it out of the capital plan. So I think he should be congratulated for going up over and above the effort to save the town some money.
Very good, thank you. Okay, Boy Scouts, do you think we should let them apply for this grant to restore these maps for the town? Okay. Board of Selectmen, what do you think? All in favor? Okay, everybody agrees, the Scouts and the Selectmen here.
That's good.
That's unanimous, thank you. Okay, the next one is for Paul Grimmer, who just made it by the chinny chin chin. I told him between 8 and 8:30, and it's 8, and he just walked in the door. Item B is to consider an act on approval to hang a banner from June 1st to the 15th across Orange Center Road to advertise the Orange Business and Community Expo. Hi, Paul.
How are you?
Good. Go ahead.
Should I just let you make a motion now, or do you want me to explain it a
I
little
think
bit?
you have to explain it, sir. You have the Scouts here observing our meeting.
Good evening, everybody. We are preparing for our 6th annual Orange Business Expo, which is being held on June 13th over at the Showcase Cinemas. Every year it gets bigger and better. This year we have room for 87 vendors, of which the space we have 57 vendors already signed up and ready to go. I expect to be sold out by April 30th. We're doing a tremendous amount of work over there in the office, and one of the things we're trying to do to advertise the show is to put this banner up across Orange Center Road. We've got the design in front of you. You have 2 designs in front of you. What we're really looking to do is we're looking for to install the bottom one, just because we think it stands out a little bit better. The corporation will pay for the money out of the proceeds that we receive from the vendors and the sponsors of the show, and we're just asking your indulgence. We'd like to have, I guess, Public Works put it up on the 1st of June, and we'll seek to have it removed shortly after.
Mr. Lieberman says maybe. The specs. Well, we've had those made. Paul has had those made for there before.
Right.
I have a couple questions for
Sure.
you. Number one, the Scouts might like to come to this if they find out more about it. Number two, are you having the car show this year?
We are not having the car show there this year.
All right. Is there going to be on display there? There is one motorcycle in town that was at a local business that was made by Orange County Choppers. Is that motorcycle going to be on display?
That motorcycle will be in Chicago.
Oh, my gosh. We're not doing too good for your expo here.
Well, we're not doing too good for motorcycles.
I was trying, guys. Okay, do we have a motion for the Orange Economic for their banner?
Second.
Thank you very much. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you. For me, I think
That was
the
it.
timing,
That was
that's a
quick.
record.
That was good.
Have a good day.
Okay. C. Yeah. Consider an act on the approval of extending the lease agreement for the police department motorcycles. Officer, or Chief now, Robert Cagney. Sorry about that.
I hope we are doing good for motorcycles. Good evening, everybody. I'm here to ask approval from this board for the extension of our lease for our 2 Harley-Davidson motorcycles. In accordance with the town charter, this board needs to formally approve a lease that exceeds a term beyond the current fiscal year. Our current motorcycle lease expires April 25th of '07. The lease is through Bridgeport Harley-Davidson. It was in a 1-year period for the amount of $1,894 per motorcycle for a total of $3,788. They have agreed to extend our lease to 4/25/08 for the same 2 motorcycles. Those are 2 2006 Harley-Davidson Road King motorcycles for the exact same price as the current lease. Now, when we do some comparison shopping, we weren't able to find 3 Harley-Davidson dealers that were even willing to extend us a lease. Just to give you a little perspective, we used to use Woodstock Harley-Davidson in Illinois. They're just outside Chicago. And they have since increased their price for leases to $2,894 per motorcycle. And Bridgeport Harley-Davidson currently charges the West Haven Police Department $3,200 for their Electroglide models, which are also a little bit different version from what we're operating. So as you can see, the lease that we're being offered is quite competitive, and our motorcycle program has been a very successful program, and I would like to continue it. And I would ask this board's approval to give me permission to extend this lease.
Any questions for the chief from the table or from the audience? Anybody?
Is that our total too?
Yes.
That's it, yeah. If there's any other Harley-Davidson dealership people out there watching on Ogat who would like to consider talking to the chief about this in the future, please feel free to contact him at the police department on Lambert Road also. We have a motion then to approve this, Roy. All right, do we have a second? Tony, Mitch, whoever, okay. Any more discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed, abstain, unanimous.
Thank you.
Good, chief. You guys, if you want, that's the man to ask if you ever want to get a tour of the police station if you haven't gotten one yet. That's the guy right there. That's the chief. And then the assistant's sitting there too. I didn't see him. There's a tall young man right here who had you blocked out a little bit. Okay, next item is for the Scouts. Consider an act on the approval for the Boy Scouts to operate their hot dog cart at the Orange Soccer Association soccer games. John Wesolowski is the scout master, but we have a whole group of scouts there. Are you all coming up to pitch this deal, or who? Okay. Oh, yes, and I know this young man very well. How are you? Good. You're the chief hot dog salesman tonight?
I know. Good evening. I'm Bobby Brown, a member of 796 Quarter Mile Road. As a Boy Scout Troop 925, I am requesting approval to operate a hot dog cart during the soccer games behind the town hall during both soccer seasons. This is a requirement to obtain a health license for the cart. We will also run the cart for other town events, such as the Apple Festival, as requested. The troop has been operating the cart for several years, with full support from Thompson from the Orange Soccer Association. And the benefits of running this cart will include providing snacks for participants and spectators at the soccer games. It also raises funds for the Boy Scout troop to help pay for trips and other troop costs. This also allows scouts to earn their keep and teach scouts how to manage and work in a small business. We are aware and are in compliance with the sanitation requirements of running the cart. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Scout Brown? I knew something. He had
I can't leave him, let him go that easy. Bobby, thank you very much. I do have a quick question, though. Do the Scouts also have a hot dog cart for Fred Wolf Park? Or just on the one here?
Just the one at Mariel.
Okay.
It's a long push down the hill, isn't
Well,
it?
yeah, I didn't know if
Coming
it's a
back
second
is tough. Someday that will happen when we get a building down there that they can keep one down there too. Maybe that'll happen sometime in the future. Okay, do we have a motion to approve? Anthony, Mitchell, okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed, abstained, unanimous. You're all set.
Thank you.
Okay. Item E, consider an act on a fundraiser motorcycle ride and picnic in honor of Officer Rob Fumiati, Pat Launder, I'm not quite sure of the name. Is Pat, what time, did you give him a time to be here? Okay, we'll move over. It's a good event. Actually, maybe, I don't know, the chiefs talked with him about that. Do you want to step in on that? I thought he would be here. I talked to him. You need that? That's what they had sent us.
Okay. Yeah, this is a fundraiser motorcycle event. It's going to begin at Savin Rock Conference Center on Sunday, April 29th. And the ride will be traveling through several towns. It's going to end up in Orange with a picnic at High Plains. And they are currently getting a state road use permit for this event. and all the local traffic authorities are signing off on that permit, and our local traffic authority did sign off on it Monday night. We approved that permit.
So it's all set?
Yeah.
Okay. I know it did have to go through the police, and the chiefs are here tonight, so does anybody have any difficult? I can't give you any information on it. Beyond that, I don't know if you have gotten any as far as...
We have no issue with this event.
We know the officer involved. I think he's addressed
Oh, yeah.
us at meetings. I would move that we approve it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, any, very good. Discussion? Yeah.
Jim, just a question. Bob, maybe you know, who is this going to benefit? It says a scholarship, but doesn't
It's-
indicate.
I think it's his family. He left
Oh.
some children, I believe.
It's a scholarship in honor of Officer Fumiati and his sister-in-law, Mary Lynn Raw.
For his family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any hearing it? No more discussion? All those in favor? We're all set? Yeah, I think there was. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay. F, consider request from Silverbrook Estates for the approval of the contracts and the request for funding. Well, we'll do the first part. The second part, I don't know. Of course, you all know Sue Morrow. I know Jeannie Tsunami's here, and
Jane Crossman.
Jane's here, and that it?
Yep.
No, Richard was upstairs. Did you carpool tonight? Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's a whole bunch of
Yeah, quite a few
contract
things tonight.
approvals there tonight. They bunched them all together.
Yep, we sure did.
Okay, food service contract. You want to go through these one at a time, and then
Sure.
we'll approve them together?
Sure.
Food service contract. Did you all read the food service contract? And do you have any questions for Sue on the food service contract?
Good job.
Okay. The sec-
There will be an increase.
An increase in by how much?
Yes, it's going to be, it was $7.90 per meal if anyone had to pay for the full meal. It's now going to be $8.30 a meal.
Okay, else on that? Nope. The next one is the security contract. Any questions on that one?
Question,
Yeah.
what's the cost this year?
It's the same as last year. They did not come to us for another contract, so we're just going to keep it the same.
Okay. The assisted living services contract.
How many are in that now?
We have just about 15 people.
Selectman Blake is also on that board. He's our representative there. Okay, do we have any questions with the assisting living one? No. Okay. All right, the last one is the congregate and rental assistance subsidies sheet you have in there. Were there any questions on that one? That breaks down how everybody pays. Okay, there's no questions on those 4 items. Should we have a motion on each one individually so you can name a company and an amount, please?
Mr. Selectman, as long
Yes.
as there's no objection to any one of the 5, if there is,
4.
or otherwise, I will make a motion that all 5 requests be
4.
and all 4 be honored.
Okay.
Unless there's an objection.
Would anybody here like to, I think they probably should be listed in
right,
some way, Joe, so each name of who's.
All right, if I make a motion that we approve all 4 as I read them off one at a time. Renewal of management agreement between Town of Orange and the Orange Elderly Housing Management. Renewal of full service contract with CW Resources at a rate not to exceed $8.30 per meal, 50 meals per day, 365 days per year. Renewal of the security contract, securities at a rate not to exceed $14.10 an hour, 118 hours per week plus holidays. Renewal of assisted living services, the Utopia Assisted Living Service. Cost of these is covered by state funds, tenants' contributions, state grant monies, not from the operating budget of Silverbrook Estates. So made.
Okay, Selectman Blake, I stand corrected. You're right, the first one slipped through the cracks there
Yep.
is the renewal
Yes.
of the management agreement.
That's correct.
Between the Town of Orange and Elderly Housing Management. I apologize.
No problem.
There are 5. Mr. Selectman Blake has made the motion for all of them at once. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, oh, you did? All right, Selectman Very good. Any discussion on that?
And the last one would be,
You didn't read the last
I
one.
read the last one. Jim, you threw a curve at me, too. The request for congregate rental assistance subsidy is not to exceed $220,000. That congregate services, $155,000, and rental assistance at $65,000. I knew there were five.
Okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous. Done. Very good.
Great, thanks.
Okay. G, consider an act on bids for the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, maintenance contract at Case Memorial Library. Mr. Lieberman. Quite a price difference.
Yes, there was. We had 8 people come to the site visit, eight companies, and only 4 submitted bids. And I spent several hours talking to the temp tech from Westbrook, his references, and because of the difference. And I talked to him, making sure he understood what's in the specs and the 11 items that have to be inspected and maintained. And all his references said the same thing. Yes, he was much lower in the bid, but his service is A1. In fact, one town hired him just to clean their boilers. When he did such a job, they gave him all the buildings in town, all the heating and air conditioning. There's towns of Groton, Old Saybrook, New Britain, the State Agricultural Center.
Oh, you're just throwing that one in.
Pardon?
You're just throwing that one in.
No, it's in there. It was one of his references, and it's one of the town that escapes my
That's
mind
fine.
right now. So I figured, well, he's given us a good price. We take a chance if he doesn't perform, and then we'll get somebody else. But he will be, every time they come, they'll be required to fill out a form that's in the specs. And we will take that form and make sure we'll go over and make sure he's done everything he's supposed to. And the owner of the company showed up, Mr. Tom King. He said he really understands what has to be done. He's doing it in the other towns. Since we may have a tight budget.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Lieberman on this contract? Selectman Blake, you're thinking
No,
they're
no,
rather
no, no,
pensive?
no.
Okay, if not,
Move to accept.
okay, is there a second? Okay. Who are we accepting, Selectman Okenquist?
Second.
Temp Tech?
Mechanical service.
Okay. Okay. We have a second, all righty. Any more discussion? Nobody in the audience? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, Temp
Thank you.
Tech Westbrook is your vendor.
Thank you. I'd like to say I was the first one to make a deposit of batteries in Town Hall.
I saw you taking a nap. I wondered why. Your batteries are running low.
The Energizer?
Okay, this next one is a rather interesting proposal. Consider an act on the grant opportunity from the Department of Environmental Protection for property of 202 Surrey Drive. This is a property, I'm going to have Mr. Murphy come up and explain it to you. It's a property that's had, I'll say, many years of wetlands flooding issues. It's a home that probably shouldn't have been built in that particular spot, or built differently maybe. And because of that, he's had years of problems with it, and now there's a proposal before us.
Yeah.
This is Mr. Murphy.
All right. Just a little background on this. The street, Surrey Drive, was a project that was built in 1964. And the developer, in order to get 2 additional building lots, he rerouted Racebrook along the back edge of the property. And this is along the back edge of all the different homeowners. It's about 15, 20 feet inside the property line. What they did is they took the stream and they put it at ground level, and they just built up earthen banks on either side of it. This seemed to hold up pretty well for about 20 years. Then all of a sudden, little sections of the bank started to wash out. We were able to patch them up when they were like little small breaches, 1-2 feet, we're able to get in there with a shovel and, put the dirt back again. But as the years went on, these little small breaches turned into 3, 4 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet. Right now, it's about 50 feet of the bank is washed out. The bank is about 5 feet high, and where it's washed out, it's only about a foot high. Anytime we get a rain in the 2.5 inch area, we get completely flooded. My house, unfortunately, is the lowest house on the street, and the water just comes in. Once it goes over the bank, it takes between 5 and 10 minutes for it to fill up my house, and I get between 1 and 2 feet of water in the lower level of the house. And the lower level of the house is finished. I have a complete family room, a complete kitchen, complete bathroom down there. And this has been going on now for quite a few years, and it's getting more and more frequent all the time. I do have flood insurance. I had Geico insurance. They dropped me because of frequent travelers in a high-risk school, and they dropped me because of frequent claims. I am now with FEMA. This is the only option left. And FEMA just recently put me into a category called severe repetitive loss. I got notification from FEMA last year saying because I am in this category that I have to take some kind of remedial action, or otherwise that they were going to jack up the rates until I become self-insuring, and this is overwhelming. Bottom line is, I can't FEMA. How could they help? Because I can't go back there and rebuild the stream because of inland wetland considerations, DEP considerations, things like this. And FEMA has a grant program where they're able to purchase, demolish, landscape the property, and then the property gets deeded to the town as open space. All right. This is a process that goes from FEMA through DEP through the town. What I'm asking for tonight is, in this process, for the town to agree to become part of the process. It's rather involved, and I have Diane Ivkovic of Connecticut DEP. She's with me here tonight, and she can answer any questions you have concerning this process. Diane?
Diane, you're next up here.
Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Murphy before he steps out?
Just a quick point of understanding. Are you saying they actually raise the house?
Yep.
And take over the entire parcel?
Right. In other words, the house would be purchased, demolished, landscaped, and then deeded over to the town as permanent open space.
Okay, I was expecting there was some kind of a, repair type of thing going on here. I didn't realize we were talking about
No, this is the only program that FEMA, for my particular situation. Different towns have different rules and regulations, and I guess Orange, this is the only option available.
I was a little surprised when he came to me with it, so I'm glad you all are too, Ralph.
Yeah, it's unique.
I have a couple. One being, do any of the other neighbors have a problem with this, or are you the only one?
I'm the lowest house on the street.
Right.
The house next to me, downstream from me, it was built 4 feet higher than my house, and the only other house on that street again was about 3 feet higher than mine. So these homes don't have the problem, at least right now anyway, of the water getting into the house. The water will go around. It will it's like a moat around the houses, but it doesn't actually go in. With my house, it just comes in. It's tough going down in the morning and finding a couple of feet of water downstairs.
The second question is probably to our town attorney, and that is, will there be any liability to the town once we take that over?
Oh, you'll have your open spacings. We're going to talk to the DEP representative about that.
It was my understanding of the process that it would not actually come to the town until it was in an open space condition.
Right.
Yeah.
Once we get it.
it would be treated as any other open space, so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody's ready for Diane Ipslovic of the DEP. Good evening.
Hi.
I know you guys must have questions, certain of that.
Okay. What Mr. Murphy said was accurate. This is for Orange at least, just because they don't have a hazard mitigation plan. This is the only grant program really Orange can apply for from FEMA right now. And it's just for acquisition. It's to deed it open, dedicated open space. You can't sell the land again. This grant program has only been around for 2 years. It's $10 million is available annually nationwide. It's competitive. There's nothing you monetarily have to put up front except for maybe a staff person's time to gather information and put the application together. So there's no outlay of money at all. It's a 100% grant to buy the house, demo the house, put it back to open space.
Do we put up any money towards this, or all time through? Mr. Murphy and I had this discussion in the office the other day. Do we have to front it and then wait to be reimbursed or anything like that?
No, if anything, it's the opposite. You would put a grant application in first, outline all the costs. Things that you could apply for is obviously to buy the house and the land, the demo costs, the appraisals, title insurance, escrow, the real estate transaction deeds, just like a normal real estate. You would outline all that first, submit the application to us, we repackage it, submit to FEMA, they look at it and say yes or no.
And then we
And then,
do the appraisals.
then it comes back to us. We had a contract with the town for the costs that were outlined, as you described them.
Okay.
And then you can either, then you have a separate agreement with him on how to buy the house. We don't contract with homeowners, we contract with towns.
Okay,
Okay?
so then that goes back to my question. But we don't actually purchase the property from him until,
Correct.
once we get an agreement with
Correct.
him, then he has to wait for us to receive the money from
Correct. You deal with
the
the agreement with
DEP.
us first.
Well, yeah, but the figure has to be agreed upon
Correct.
with him prior.
Correct.
And then
Yeah.
the grant would go be applied for.
Correct.
And then once we're approved, we wait for the money
Yep.
to come.
Yep.
It then is submitted to the towns, whether through a Rice account or
Yep.
just straight out as a check, and
Yep.
then we proceed from there.
Correct. Right.
I just had one follow-up question to what First Selectman just raised. So wouldn't there have to be, does the only upfront cost being the cost of an appraisal to determine what the value, and how do you submit a grant at a value without having an appraisal beforehand?
You do it a number of ways. You can use a tax assessment. You can have your assessor maybe come up with a value. You can have him maybe hire an appraiser at his own cost if that's something you want, you decided to do. You could come up with a value.
So FEMA actually doesn't require an appraisal, because will FEMA require an appraisal?
They're going to require town to come up with a fair market value for that house.
Okay, is that going to be based on an
And
appraisal?
It doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be an assessment.
Okay.
I think that would be something you two would want to work
And
out.
that was my only concern is...
It's whatever you think is
Right.
fair and he thinks is fair.
Okay.
Probably something that could be done with that, and I'm not sure, but I think there probably should be a couple appraisals, probably one by Mr. Murphy so that he knows, so that he's comfortable with, and one by the town side so that they're comfortable with. And if they're close, works out. If they're great ways apart, and then we still, then we figure that into the grant. I mean, I think there is going to be an outlay of I don't know, how much is an appraisal?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my question. If all the costs that the town would incur would be part of the grant application.
Yeah, so you would submit it. You'd get that little bit back.
Yeah, you
Right,
would.
that's what I'm saying.
Mitch
So
and
that-
Vinnie don't think that
so
it's
that
a lot of
the town
money.
would be, would not have any financial impact if it's approved.
If it's approved,
The only
correct.
thing I can see is, again, town, some staff time to gather data.
Yeah, well, we have that available.
You know.
Scott, if you're watching.
Usually, what's the time frame of a process that you might have seen where this has taken place before? Because we've all seen FEMA in Katrina, so I mean, nowadays when I see FEMA, I wonder how long things take.
Okay. Actually, you just missed a deadline. It was in February. It was due to FEMA from us. So you have a pretty good amount of time. It probably comes out around Christmas time. Usually they tell us about grants in the fall, Thanksgiving. So you have a good amount of time to gather this data. Usually these grants come around every year about the same time. They give you a few months to apply. Basically, you work with us, you say we want to do it, we put the package together, then we submit it to them, and then they get back to us within probably 4 to 6 months, something like that. Usually, their fiscal year ends September 30th, so usually they want to obligate all their money by that date, so you know summertime-ish. So right now, it's probably people will be told from those February ones. So it's not like disaster assistance or anything like that. These are grants. They have a cycle, and they have to obligate the money, or they lose it, and it goes back to Congress, and they don't want that. So it's pretty quick.
I don't want to end up like Ray Nagin either.
You're not going to end up like Ray Nagin. So then it becomes so that we're told, you got the grant. It comes into DEP. We write a contract through the AG's office with you, like any other normal contract you probably see from any state agency. Nothing crazy. Just say, demoing the house, buying the house, the amount of money, a time frame, which FEMA will give to us, when you have to do it by, a start and a stop date. You'll know all that ahead of time because our contracting process takes a couple months to get it through the system. And by that point, we're going to tell you beforehand, hey, it got approved, this contract is coming, start making it move on your end, making it move on our end. And so when you get the money, you start.
It goes through. So
you go
there's
through.
no outlay except for probably an appraisal by us.
Yeah.
And time by
But again, you can
employee
get that
time.
back. Yeah.
Yes.
Just a couple of questions on the engineering end of it, I guess. Now, the house is raised, there's going to be landing, grading, whatever. Is that something DEP is involved in?
So
The town is involved in that because we want to just, from wetlands experience, we want to make sure we don't exacerbate anybody else's problems in the neighborhood doing something here. And the other side of that, maybe there's a way to alleviate some of those problems, potentially a basin type of situation, as long as we're going to have a
I think it's a good thing on one side. It alleviates a long ongoing problem for Mr. Murphy that he's had. It does give you I've heard it before, like a pocket park in a neighborhood. It is going to create a little bit more down the road. You're getting a piece of property there, but then remember that means another piece of property that Park and Rec is going to have to mow because I won't blame the neighborhood one bit. They would want it, kept up in a reasonable manner. I mean, remember, you can't just let it grow up to, weeds and trash and, dumping, that sort of thing.
It also goes off the tax roll.
It will go off the tax roll. Mitchell.
Based on the description Mr. Murphy's given us tonight, there's no way to store those banks. I mean, that sounds like, to save his house. I mean, to bring in, obviously, substantial fill, it would need, obviously DEP and/or wetland approval, but that's not an option.
You may need a levy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
they don't like doing that anymore. I mean, I
Really?
think when his house was built, that was the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flood control projects
Right.
of all kinds, dams, levees, whatever, took it.
That's what
Now,
Ray Nagin
honestly,
said.
they'd rather just get
Those
people
dam
out of the way
levees.
because it's a Band-Aid. Obviously, you could see it lasts for a while.
Yeah.
They diverted the brook. I think it wants to go back where it came from.
Brooks do.
And
That's
unfortunately,
natural.
his house is in the way.
Yep, they do revert.
Okay.
He said there's riprap in places. I think it's energizing the channel in different points that maybe it
Yep.
wasn't before and
Okay.
putting the water on his
The,
property.
just a follow-up also to the process here. Jim just mentioned the fact that it's got to be as a quote-unquote park. Does it have to be maintained, or is it
It's
better
just
just
to be open space, and that's how
But
everybody
is it
defines
better
it.
just to be
The only definition they have in space.
Okay.
that-
Open space. The
that
problem
nothing will be
is,
built.
what.
Yeah, I know. But I'm also thinking that sometimes with that kind of condition, you don't want to lose any mowers in there either.
You can't plant corn there. Maybe rice. I don't know. Mr. Lieberman, do you still want to speak? You were raising your hand there. Town engineer Ed Lieberman.
I first saw this about 2 months after I came to town, April '96. Water does go back to the original location of the stream as it goes around the doctor's house. What's his name? Messina. And I've seen it again several times since. And there is another piece of property. Is that right adjacent to your house right away?
There's a right-of-way between the Messina and the DePonte.
Oh, okay. We have a right-of-way up there. I thought it was adjacent. I forgot. But the the only way to protect would be a huge dike. And the only thing I'm concerned about is we keep this as open. We're going to keep it from washing away all the time. Because I know Mr. Murphy has tried to put riprap on the brook, and he's been told no on the river. So that's something we have to think about. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience or from the table?
Jim, I just want to make sure, standpoint that Mr. Murphy is aware that it sounds like to me we'd be looking at a grant process in about February '08 with an approval possibly 4 to 6 months thereafter, with a contract period approximately 4 to 6 months thereafter. So you're really looking at like a 1.5 to 2 year process before completion.
Mr. Murphy in my office said 2 to 3 years the other day when he was in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's aware of it. And he's got to put up with this for a couple more years. And I mean, you get 2 feet of water in the first floor of your house, that's not real pleasant. So,
And just so if you want to know, this house has had $80,000 worth of claims since 1980, just if you want to know that.
Wow.
Including what he just happened in March of this year.
So that's why they're
9
dropping
separate
it.
incidences.
So Jim, just stepping back, the engineering of how this is regraded and that kind of thing, that falls upon
Falls
the
to
town.
DEP.
No, it would fall to you guys
Oh,
to,
that
to
comes to us?
decide.
That's-
I mean, I would say just to grade.
Is that
Yeah.
part of the
No.
grant?
Part of the grant.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
be
But
part
that's
of it.
that we
Okay.
something
That's
we
a
would
cost,
include in the
yes.
cost of the grant.
I think we're going to have to, I'm not familiar with the property at all at this moment. I don't know if any of you are.
Is it adjacent to Messina's house?
No, it's 2 away evidently, right? 2 away from Messina?
Yeah, 2 away.
On the same side of the street.
On the same side of the street. So Surrey Drive is a cul-de-sac.
Yep.
And I'm the third house from the end.
Okay.
So, I mean, probably there would have to be, and as long as we can figure it into the grant application for having some sort of design done and then built, to keep that from going into the neighbors. Once you get rid of this house here, if it's not blocking it, it's very possible that it, if you built it too much, it would go to whoever's next door.
Yeah, Diane, you mentioned that you could not, we couldn't sell the property. Could we, if we wanted to, deed it to a neighbor at no price, rather than leaving it as open space? Does that make, rather than the town taking on the responsibility? Because sometimes when things like this have, not like things like this have happened, we've like a right-of-way abandoned over the years. Sometimes we split half to one side and half the other side.
I think you might be.
Well,
I'd have to check that.
okay.
Again, the only
Obviously, that's way
requirement-
down the road, but just
Yeah, I
we're
checked
here.
that for you. The only requirement in the guidance from them, it says it has to be open space. So if
Okay.
the deed said dedicated open space, and even if you transferred it to whoever,
Right.
even if it was a land trust, I would assume that would be okay. But again, they couldn't sell it, they can't
Right.
put anything on it.
No, not the one
one
the
stick
intent.
of anything.
But what Jim said about, if the neighbors want to make sure it's maintained,
where you're going
the
with
best
it.
way to maintain it is to have the neighbors take
I
ownership.
can ask that, and I can ask them,
Okay.
get back to you. It's an interesting question.
Okay, if there's no more questions or discussion on this, is there a motion for the table to consider and act on this grant opportunity from the DEP for property at Surrey Drive, 202 Surrey Drive?
I'll make that motion, Jim.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, Selectmen Cosacrio or Blake. Any more discussion?
Say consider an act on.
Well, we have, this request right now is to do we want to proceed with the application? And that's what you're doing.
I think that Roy brought up a good question, that really before you could proceed, you ought to get some engineering
Well,
opinion
that
on
would be,
this.
that would be all contingent as part of the grant process. Have to
What
move
if the
forward out of
engineering
it.
shows that it's not feasible?
Well,
No,
there's a
because-
possibility there, but I think that's,
Because
Then you don't
then
apply.
you won't apply. You
Right.
just won't
You
move
don't
forward.
apply.
Okay, so this is only the investigation, it's not the actual submittal of the grant.
At this moment, you're voting to consider and act on the grant process. And then you would do your appraisal, would figure in all of your work, including the engineering and design or build, whatever is required. If it can't be done, you're going to find out at that time by whoever engineers. If it can't be done, then you would
But then
submit
who
for the money.
absorbs that cost up to that point?
There'd be minimal cost. What minimal cost there is the town of Orange would have to absorb, and then.
That's what I mean.
And
The
then write.
engineering work would have to be.
Well, you would write
absorbed.
it back into the grant. There wouldn't be much
Well, if
engineering
you don't
at that
apply
point.
for the grant, then there's no money.
Correct, but you won't know that if you don't consider that.
So there are funds that are going to have to be required, risk funds, in order to make the
Small amount,
assessment.
yes.
Okay, that's, okay.
Okay. Any more? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous? Very good. We'll proceed to the next step in this, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Good night, Scouts. Okay, good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you, Rich. Okay. The next item is discussion on work being done by the Housatonic Valley Association. Ronald Scarat has been sitting there very patiently. Good evening. How are you?
Thank you, gentlemen. My name is Ronald Scarat. I live at 19 Glen Circle, Seymour, Connecticut. And I was also a selectman up there for many, many years. For the life of me, I cannot remember any night in Seymour where we had pool halls, hot dogs, and 2 for water in the basement. You got an interesting night tonight, at least from my experience. It's interesting anyway. All right, the Housatonic Valley Association. I'm a retiree and I help them out. The Housatonic Valley Association is the oldest watershed protection group in the country. They started in 1941, and their objective is to protect the Housatonic River and its environment, and beautify it if at all possible. I'm here to ask for anything, nor am I here to ask for any money. I just want to inform you as to what we've done, what we're doing, and what we'll be doing in the future. And also, if you need us for anything, our cards are in these green folders. Just get a hold of us, okay? We don't want any encroachment or any problems on the Housatonic River. That's our mission, okay? Now,
I had your card last week.
Pardon?
I needed your card last week.
What happened?
Or 2 weeks ago. Well, you continue, then we'll talk about that after.
All right. When I was a selectman, I realized that if anybody talked for more than 10 minutes, my eyes glazed over. Therefore, you got a green folder. I'm going to go through it quickly. Do your town a favor, and when you get a chance over coffee, read it in detail. But I will give you the high points within 5 minutes. And then if there's any questions, I'll stay all night if you want. But okay. Number 1, for fishermen, boat owners, people that like to hike, we got an estuary guide. It covers from the Stevenson Dam all the way down. We got maps, fish, critters, boating, docking, everything that would be of interest to anyone that butts onto the Housatonic River. If you need more of these for the Scouts or anybody else, I'll get them for you. But I won't go into what each paragraph is, but take a look at it when you get a chance. It's a good deal. It's a good deal. Now, the key thing is this. 56 volunteers, and we put them in boats and put them on shore and did a review of the Housatonic River from the Stevenson Dam to an island zone. Now, the Housatonic Valley Association cuts all the way from New York, Massachusetts, all the way down to Long Island. However, this is concerning from the Stevenson Dam down and covers 9 towns. Okay. The first page will tell you where Orange, the name of Orange will pop up. Read that in detail. The balance of it, you can glance over and get an idea of what we've done in other towns. The Green Trail in Derby we developed. The Green Trail that they're going to do in Ansonia on the Naugatuck River, We are in the process of developing it, and we're making plans for another green trail in Seymour. If you're interested in a green trail, or you got a bright idea in that respect, or a cleanup, call us and we'll try and help you out. We got a group of good volunteers, plus on June 8th, Thule Corporation up in Seymour, they make the racks for the cars. They are letting all their employees out on that day to help us clean up O'Sullivan's Island, which is at the area where the Naugatuck River reaches the Housatonic River. It's a natural cesspool. Okay. Now, page 55. I went from page 1 to 55. Okay. But basically what it comes down to on 55 is we examined 9 brooks, and we do so every few months to see if there's anything different relative to the water quality. We determine that by, for a better word, critters. And we pick up the critters, we analyze what they are, and if those critters change over a period of years, we know something's happening to the water. We report it to the DEP. DEP puts everything together in a report that they give to the governor. Pleasantly, the streams are doing extremely well. We don't have a problem. I can't say that for the Naugatuck River, and I can't say it for part of the Housatonic River. We're going to have pipes coming up all over the place, and no one seems to know where those pipes go, but they're pushing stuff into the Housatonic River and the Naugatuck River, and I can't legally go on their property with my people and find out where those pipes go. But you, as a town, if you wanted, if there's something in there relative to a pipe. Now, we have a regular magazine. Glance over it when you get a chance. Okay, and then we have 2 forms that came in handy for mine, be handy for your town too. Don't reinvent the wheel when it comes to inland wetlands or P&Z relative to water flow. If each of those departments get copies of these forms, they're a checkoff list for a person that makes an application, and they're a checkoff list for each member of the board to assure good water quality going into the Housatonic or the Naugatuck River. I just finished. I did it within 10 minutes. I tell you what. Now, if there's any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
Yeah, problem, I think it's 2 weeks ago now, probably. They're dredging down by Caswell Cove.
Oh.
You already know.
We're up to our armpits in it.
And Mark Loretti called. I know Mrs. Heckman, and I had Scott Allen on the phone while I was standing there. Mark had stalled them, I guess, from dumping on the Shelton side in the river.
Yep.
Somehow they maneuvered over onto the Orange side.
You know, it's a really
Yeah, it is.
For some reason, there seems to be a great deal more attention given to Shelton, Stratford, and Milford. Orange slips through. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Our part of the Housatonic is not easily accessible.
That's not the big cliffs.
So they kind of just...
Right. In fact, 2 of the volunteers live on those cliffs. One runs is Dave Hodkinson.
That's
and
it. Do you need them for anything?
I know you were here. To answer your question, I think that's controlled at this point.
It is. Right now, they stopped dumping. They had gotten a cease and desist. They just got their permits reapproved yesterday, I believe. But supposedly now the material is going out into New Haven Harbor or out into the Sound near New Haven,
yes.
Which isn't really any better, quite honestly, but it's not coming up to Orange anyhow.
I'm not thrilled about it, but it's not going to go to Shelton. It's not going to go to Orange.
No.
Shouldn't have been approved originally. I don't think the left hand knew what the right hand was doing.
No, and there's quite a bit
delete that from it.
Yeah, and no, there's quite a bit of there's chemical residues and
yes.
I'll say fuels, but there's all kinds of petroleum residues in there and a lot of stuff. So by them stirring it up,
yes,
it's going to be sending more out into the Sound and
right.
that whole area.
Right.
But they stopped dumping it in Orange.
Yes.
And like I said, if I had your car 2 weeks ago, I didn't quite know.
We interceded, but candidly, we didn't get word on that right away. and a group from Shelton took the helm, and all we did was support them with phone calls or contacts to the politicians, and we know up in Hartford. But they handled it, I think, fairly well. It shouldn't have gone on. I mean, 1/3 of that material was already taken up and dumped.
Yeah.
But it stopped. Hopefully it won't happen again. And I hope that's the end of it. I hope that's it, Jim.
I hope you're right. There is quite a bit of work. There's a Mount St. Peter Cemetery there on Route 34.
Mm-hmm.
They bought a large piece of land that runs all along Derby Milford Road.
I saw it.
And they've cleared it, and
Mhm.
they're working on it to expand their cemetery. And the train tracks are in between that
Mhm.
property and the water, but
All depends on whether they have affluence going into the water. That's what our
Well, you got
concern. They
to
start
know.
putting in pipes, and then we got to check them. Got to check them. But Dave has got to be very familiar with that, I would think. Am I right, Dave? Can I let him
Yep.
speak, please?
sure, you can speak, absolutely.
Thank you very much. My name's Dave Hodgkins, and I live up on High Ridge. I overlook all the dumping that they were doing, and I have a lot of pictures that I took. I was very concerned at this from when it started. The problem we have now is the DEP has allowed, as of Friday, they're going to send Milford Harbor dredging up to cap this. The problem I have is there was no set formation on the way they were dumping the silt. And I have pictures of many of the areas where they dumped it. It was in about 1/8 of a mile. I've been very involved, Friends of the Housatonic. I was over the Ascot Club, went to a lot of the meetings there. And the problem we have is Milford now is sending Milford Harbor dredging up the river to supposedly cap this. The problem is they have no clue, because it was a mile, that they were dumping this stuff. We had experts at the meeting last Thursday night, and it went straight to the bottom. They had a robotic camera. They showed pictures of where it was, what it looked like. DEP's just kind of throwing their hands up. Now they're going to cap it with sand, so they're going to be dumping more stuff on top of where they think it might be. So we have a problem, and it's on the orange side. Shelton is doing everything they can to try to stop this. We had a fundraiser. We made $10,000 for lawyers' fees. We had a meeting on Monday up in Hartford. Nothing. It was a continued thing. But now Milford is going to dump Milford Harbor sand up on our side. And
the DEP's letting them do
the
it?
DEP is allowing them to come up the river and drop it 10,000 cubic yards of sand and silt on the orange side. And they're letting...
I asked Scott, actually, that's why I was up there that day, and he was on the phone. I went up trying to find out from him,
Right.
what are they doing up there?
Jimmy, I have
Nobody let
pictures.
us know.
I will give you copies of silt that they dumped in the river. I have a telephoto lens. It's the nastiest stuff you ever
Oh,
saw.
good.
And when they dumped it, there for about 3 hours, there was a huge black slick. But it did go down, and I do want to say that it is probably, up to when they started dumping, one of the hottest fishing points. Steve can vouch for this. There have been more boats up there fishing. Believe it or not, even though fresh water, striped bass are hitting like crazy.
Since they dumped?
No, before
prior.
the dump, it has slowed up completely. They're contaminating the river. There's a lot of PCBs. There's a lot of lead and stuff like that. And I am very concerned that Shelton is. I'm not, blaming anybody. But it's just a case where we are being dumped on. Okay.
Yeah, no, nobody even, since then, I've contacted up in Hartford, but
Please.
there was no communication for anything coming to Orange.
I might have a copy still of the Connecticut Post, and Milford Harbor dredging for the harbor now is going to be dumped on our side of the river.
I need a copy of that, too. Okay. All right. I apologize. I didn't know about last Friday. I apologize to you, Dave. That's all new to me. This is all new. It's changing by the
minute.
By the minute. You're right.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Ralph?
Question. I know that GE has been with the PCPs up in Pittsfield. Has that flowed down to the section between Stevenson Dam and the Sound?
Not that we know, because there's 2 dams in between, but we've got a committee on it, a paid committee in this case. There's multi-million dollars involved as far as the cleanup goes. And we have 6 applications in for grants to get some of that millions of dollars to do certain things relative to pollution. I wish, we have a woman on it, Caprice. I wish she was here tonight. And if you want to report on it, I'll ask her to get down here and talk to you sometime. But she's our expert on it, I'm not. Because it's affected the Stevenson Dam down to our knowledge.
I know GE has spent millions in complying with EPA requirements up in Massachusetts and northern Connecticut area. But
they still got away cheap, but still. You know, but the fact remains, they didn't know what they were doing when they did it. So, you know, you can't condemn them totally.
No.
But the millions of dollars that are available in the pool are for grants. And the DEP has joined with us on 6 of them. So we'll probably get them. But if, Ralph, on it, anytime you want